Hi, I'm Dave Bloom, CEO of SnackSafely.com. If you're a follower of ours, you know we report on all things food allergy, but one of the things we're most interested in reporting on is the emergency epinephrine market and new innovations that are coming down the line. One of those innovations is sublingual epinephrine. That's emergency epinephrine that you pull out of the packet, place under your tongue, and is a needle-free alternative to the standard autoinjector. So I had the pleasure of connecting with Dan Barber, the CEO of Aquestive, and had a chance to talk about what they're working on, when they think it'll be available, and how their solution works. So here follows that interview. Thanks again to Dan Barber for spending some time with us, and I hope you'll find it informative. Dan, pleasure to see you.
Pleasure to be here.
We'd love to find out much more about what you folks are doing at Aquestive. But before we start with that, why don't you talk a little bit about you? Talk
Sure.
about how you came to Aquestive. My understanding is you've been with the company for something like 17 years.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time. And Dave, thank you for having us today. Truly happy to be here and to spend some time with you. It's always hard to realize that I've been with Aquestive for 17 years. And when I look back over those 17 years, I've done more roles in this company than I can remember. So across the development, the manufacturing, the operations, you name it, I've had my moment or time of being involved in it. What I like about having been here 17 years is I do get to see what we've done as a company, the benefit we've brought to people. So we have 6 FDA approvals over those 17 years. And several of them are ones where we look at the work we did and we know we really have helped different communities. The product I'm personally most proud of is a product called Suboxone sublingual film, which is for the treatment of opioid addiction. And we still, to this day, we developed the product and we do the manufacturing for another company. We still, to this day, make over 150 million doses a year of the product. And we know that countless lives of people who are fighting addiction and trying to get back to a normal life have been affected by this product. So we're really proud of that work. And we think as we look into the allergy community, we think that we can take that experience, which is high stakes, right? Dealing with people with a serious issue and transfer it to another spot, a rescue space that is high stakes.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about Aquestive. So what's it all about? You already mentioned some other drugs that you folks have successfully introduced.
Yeah.
Tell me a little about the company, the size of the company,
Sure.
and those kinds of demographics.
Yeah. Well, we are a small company in some ways. While we're a public company, it feels like a family business. We're around 150 people. So, and we're split between Indiana and New Jersey. Everything we do is US based. Our company started in 2005 based on a set of patents, a set of technology patents that were around this idea that you could put drugs on film. And film is, if you think of a Listerine pocket pack, that is a film, right? But unfortunately, that Listerine pocket pack technology can't be used to deliver drug the way it needs to be delivered. So our technology allows you to put the film in your mouth and deliver it through the oral cavity, which for a variety of drugs like epinephrine creates an opportunity to create different ways of delivering medicine to people.
So that's what Anafilm is all about, right? That's what your name is specifically for the epinephrine sublingual. I don't want to call it device, but film.
That's right. That's right. And thankfully, the FDA always has their categorizations, right? So thankfully, we're not a device. We don't have to go through the device pathway. We are an oral product. But the interesting part from a scientific perspective with Anafilm is epinephrine is something people have tried to deliver orally for decades. And they've tried all kinds of different ways of doing it, nanocrystals, and I could go on in the different ways that were tried. None of it worked. And the reason none of it worked is because epinephrine is a vasoconstrictor, right? So when it hits tissue, make sure I get this in the camera, everything tightens up, right? And so if you go to the dentist, some dentists will use epinephrine to stop bleeding. The science team here for years tried to solve that puzzle and didn't really get anywhere until our current chief science officer, Steve Wargacki, joined the company. And he came up with the idea of creating a prodrug. And a prodrug is, if you're not scientific like myself, sounds really fancy, but it's actually really simple. You just take the molecule of epinephrine and you add a functional group onto that molecule. And what it does in this case is it allows the drug to be absorbed without causing that vasoconstriction. So it's a really interesting and elegant way of getting epinephrine into the bloodstream quickly. And when we look at our clinical data, we actually reach the maximum amount of epinephrine in your blood in 12 minutes, which is in our studies faster than the autoinjectors.
That's great. I definitely want to touch on that.
Sure.
I want to be sure that we understand how this happens. So this film is not placed on the tongue, it's placed under the tongue, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it's ultimately absorbed because of all the, I guess there's lots of blood flow going beneath the tongue.
That's right. It's and actually, let me show you the product. I have it here with me. I keep it on the back of my phone. So if you see the yellow right here, that is the product. And so if you just take it out of the case, it's a thin, it's about the size of a credit card. And if you pull out the film looks like this. So it's very small. And it doesn't stick to your fingers. You can see it's almost feels like a postage stamp. So the product, in order to work, has to get anywhere in the sublingual tissue. So you can put it on the bottom of your tongue, you can put it on the floor of your mouth, anywhere in that area will do. And as soon as you put it in contact with saliva, your mucosa, it will adhere and turn into a gel, and then you just leave it there.
Phenomenal. So no device to jam. It's as simple as could possibly be.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Can you talk a little bit about temperature and shelf life and that kind of thing?
Yeah, well, and you know what's really interesting, and if you look at not only us, but the other innovators, and obviously we're all excited to see the approval of neffy last month, and there's other innovators working as well. If you look at all of us, we're all attacking the same barriers, which I think for the allergy community is an incredibly good thing. Barrier number one is, do people carry the product? And you and I both know they don't. They don't carry it at the rate they're supposed to, right? So we're trying to make products that are easier to carry. And two is, do they administer the product quickly? And we know also they don't, right? But when you focus on the carry piece, it's not just about the ease of, can you keep it on the back of your phone? It's about, does it fit into your daily life? Does it allow you to be at your child's soccer game and then go skiing and whatever it is you do in your daily life? So what is really powerful about the film is it doesn't have a lot of water in it. It has about 2% water. And water in a pharmaceutical drug is a bad thing because it acts as, it's the bad agent that helps degrade your drug, right? And so with our product, you can freeze it and still take it. You can put it into high temperatures and it will still remain efficacious. Now, obviously, we're doing the studies to define that for the FDA, but we think that's really exciting for patients and caregivers because you'll be able to carry, we believe you'll be able to carry our product with you wherever you go. And one final thing I should mention is we actually took our film and submerged it in water for a week. Not that I would suggest anyone doing that, And when we pulled it out after a week, we still had the integrity of the package, and the product was still just as efficacious as before.
So we're not talking about advocating leaving it in your pants pocket and then running it through the dryer. But for normal everyday use, you should be good to go.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the dryer, because while you use the right word, we would advocate, like with any product, you keep it in a good place that is not only where you know where it is, but ready to use. But we do want to complete some of those washer dryer studies to at least say to people, hey, if you do happen to leave it in your pants pockets, don't worry about
it. That's music to my ears. So we very much understand the whole issue of not carrying your epinephrine. And then, and then there's also the issue about, well, do I really take this now? Do I not take this now? And it seems like we're evolving in terms of taking it and possibly waiting to call emergency services, that kind of thing. So there's all kinds from my perspective, there are all kinds of innovations coming together
it.
that hopefully will have people carrying their epinephrine more often, having it survive temperatures a little bit better, and having them use it when they absolutely need it. So,
Yeah, well, you put it perfectly. The one of the things that frustrates us a lot, and I would think the other innovators feel the same way, is the number of stories you hear about even nurses or doctors saying, "Well, start with a Benadryl." Don't start with a Benadryl. Take your epinephrine, right?
yeah,
So my hope is, with multiple non-injection based products coming to the market, that people will start to gravitate towards using their epinephrine quickly, and not diphenhydramine.
yeah. It's frightening how many people still think that Benadryl is the go-to.
Yeah.
There are many doctors that are still telling them that Benadryl is the go-to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's really terrifying.
Yeah.
Um, so okay, we've got lots of folks that are very excited. You mentioned Neffy. There are some other like Aquestive there and your Anafilm. There are other needle-free alternatives that are either just on the market or coming on the market.
Mhm.
We have lots of folks that are very interested in carrying these things,
Mhm.
and we have some folks that are skeptics.
Mhm.
So can you take a few minutes, talk about how do we assure those skeptics
Mhm.
that your product is as safe and effective and as quick to act as today's auto-injectors?
Yeah. Well, and skepticism is good. It's good to pressure test new products, especially ones that are supposed to be used in rescue situations, right? So the first thing I would say to all of the people who follow you and anyone in the allergy community, with any product in the rescue space that is approved or gets approved by the FDA, is, as you know, I know, Dave, you have worked with the nasal spray company to help get Neffy approved. The FDA is not easy. So the FDA does a very thorough review of any program that is coming its way. And in our case, we have the better part of a dozen different studies where we have administered our product in all kinds of settings. We've done temperature studies, we've done self-administration studies, we've done healthy volunteer studies, and all of that data creates a whole pile of safety data that the FDA, that's put into an integrated safety summary. It's a FDA term that the FDA reviews and has to sign off on in order to bring a product to market. The other thing in our particular case that I think is helpful is we're doing our last adult study right now, which is what we call an oral allergen study. So in this study, we actually expose people to an allergen. Typically, it's a fruit, so mango is a common one. And we wait for the patient to have symptoms of edema. So they start to say, my throat is tingling, my tongue is swelling, whatever it may be. and then we give them our product and we compare it to when there is no allergen. Now we're waiting for the data to come out, but that data will not only show how, well, since we don't have the data, I have to put it this way, it will show if there is or is not a difference in absorption of the product in those two settings. And it will also show, did the product actually reduce the edema, the swelling? So I think in our case, that study in particular will be very important for doctors and patients to see, to know and have comfort that our product is working the way it's supposed to.
And your sort of bar that you're setting is the autoinjector, correct? I mean, that's ultimately what you're sort of looking to either meet or exceed.
Yeah. Well, and I know for most people that talking about epinephrine concentrations in plasma is not a natural place to go, but in the prescribing information of every approved product in both the autoinjector and the nasal spray, there is a chart that will show how much you have and at what point in time. And what I really like about our product and our studies to date is if you look at the autoinjector epinephrine curve, we are right on top of that curve. So in that first 10 or 15 minutes, which is the most critical time period, we go up very fast and we're right on top of those curves.
That's wonderful. All right, let's talk about the 50,000-pound elephant in the room, which is FDA approval. So,
Sure.
Tell me a little bit about where you are in the process of getting your product ready for submission, and then how you think it'll. And obviously, we're dealing with the FDA.
Yeah.
Not holding you to any of this, but your estimates for when you think we might be able to get Anaphylm.
Sure. Well, the good news is we're getting closer, right? We believe in the next, what's today, September 6th. We believe in the next 4 to 6 weeks, we'll have our last adult study done and be able to tell the public what the results look like. We believe that this year, so in October, November, December sometime, we will be with the FDA to go through all of our data and say we've done the studies we think are necessary for an adult filing. We'll have one more pediatric study to do, which is a very simple study. It's you give one dose and you track blood levels from that dose in 18 to 24 children. And then we'll file. So we expect to file in the first quarter of 2025, so somewhere between January and March, which would put us on the market, if approved by the FDA, at the beginning of 2026. Fingers crossed. So that's about 15, 16 months from now.
Incredible. Well, as I said, fingers crossed. We think that that the epinephrine market really needs to have more players.
No doubt.
And we love the auto-injectors. We love the whole idea about intranasal. We would love to have a sublingual capability, a product that we could rely on. Truly appreciate all the work that you do. Sum it up for our listeners, our readers. How should we be following you moving forward? Obviously, we're going to be following you moving forward, and we report on that. But what would you like to leave our readers with after this interview?
Yeah. So I'm famous in our company for when we have town halls, which is where we get everyone together, always ending with, well, what do we need from you? Right. So Dave, if you're okay, I'll put it in that form of what do we need from your listeners? And that's to remain vocal. That's the FDA does respond to people reaching out and saying, we need more, we need better solutions, we need choice. And so I think that worked well with the nasal spray. And I think not only with our product, but the products that come behind us, it's keeping up that noise of FDA. We deserve to have choice. We deserve to have innovation and keep the products coming.
Well, you can count on us, and I'm sure you can count on our readers because they are very vocal about having additional options. Dan Barber, thanks so much for your time. Much appreciated. I know it's late on a Friday, but appreciate you coming on and looking forward to hearing more about how Aquestive marches toward approval.
Likewise, Dave. Thank you for the time today. Truly appreciate it.
Take care.